There's something that happened above Jerusalem on September 7, 2025 that thousands witnessed with their own eyes, and what I discovered about this event will completely reshape how you see what's unfolding in Israel right now. I need to walk you through what emerged in the sky that night, because what appeared above the old city wasn't just a natural phenomenon. The timing, the location, the witnesses, everything about this moment carries a weight that most people have completely missed. Can I share something with you? When I first heard the reports coming from Jerusalem, I thought it was another astronomical event. But as I dug deeper into what thousands actually saw, as I examined the precise timing and the biblical calendar alignment, I realized we're watching something unfold that demands our full attention. What's remarkable here is that this wasn't hidden. This wasn't secret. Thousands of people across Jerusalem looked up at the exact same moment and witnessed the sky transform in ways that ancient prophecies described. The frequency of what's happening above Israel right now, it's shifting the atmosphere of everything we understand about this season. Stay with me as we uncover what actually appeared above Jerusalem that night. What I'm about to show you will deepen your understanding of why this moment in history carries more significance than you might realize. This is where everything accelerates. Let me walk you through something remarkable that unfolded on September 7, 2025. Picture this: thousands of people across Jerusalem, from the old city walls to the Mount of Olives, all looking upward at precisely 8:47 p.m. local time. What's essential to grasp here is that this wasn't a small group of observers. We're talking about families gathered on rooftops, tourists at the Western Wall, residents throughout the city, all witnessing the same celestial event simultaneously. The sky above Jerusalem began to transform in a way that ancient texts had described. Consider this moment, a total lunar eclipse, visible in its complete phase directly above the holy city. But here's what makes this significant. The timing aligned perfectly with specific dates on the biblical calendar. I want you to see how this connects. September 7th wasn't just another date. This was during the month of Elul, the final month before the High Holy Days, a time when Jewish tradition speaks of the king being in the field, when heaven feels closer to earth. What emerged in the sky that night lasted for 87 minutes. The moon, positioned directly above Jerusalem, moved through the earth's shadow, creating a visual that eyewitnesses described as the sky splitting open. The copper-red color that spread across the lunar surface. This is what astronomers call totality, but what the witnesses saw carried a deeper resonance. Most people overlook how celestial events above Jerusalem have historically marked significant spiritual moments. But what I discovered goes beyond the astronomy. The convergence of timing, location, and biblical season. This combination transforms how we understand what's unfolding. Watch what emerges when we examine the specific details of what thousands witnessed that night. The image that transforms understanding is just beginning to come into focus. What happened above Jerusalem on September 7th was the beginning of something we must recognize. This is where the significance deepens. Let me show you what the ancient prophets wrote about celestial signs above Jerusalem. Joel 2 verse 31 states, "The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord come." What's extraordinary about this prophecy is how specifically it describes lunar eclipses, the moon turning blood red, as a sign preceding significant divine moments. Reflect on what's emerging here. The prophet wasn't speaking metaphorically. He was describing an actual astronomical phenomenon that would serve as a marker, a sign in the heavens that would capture attention and signal timing. But here's what I needed to verify multiple times before sharing. The frequency of blood moons appearing specifically above Jerusalem has accelerated in recent years. The September 7th eclipse was visible in its totality from Israel, meaning anyone standing in Jerusalem had an unobstructed view of the complete transformation. What I'm about to reveal carries weight. The rabbinical tradition teaches that lunar eclipses are signs for Israel specifically, while solar eclipses are signs for the nations. This understanding comes from ancient Jewish texts that have interpreted celestial events as divine communication for millennia. Consider the positioning. The eclipse occurred during Elul, the month of introspection and preparation. In Jewish tradition, this is when the shofar is blown daily, calling people to awaken spiritually. The heavens displaying a sign during this exact season, the synchronization demands careful consideration. We're watching unfold a pattern that ancient prophets described. Luke 21 verse 25 adds another layer. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations. The celestial sign above Jerusalem wasn't isolated. It appeared during a season when nations are indeed experiencing unprecedented distress and uncertainty. Your awareness of this carries more weight than you realize. What appeared above Jerusalem connects to something larger unfolding. Focus your attention on this element, the geographical positioning of what thousands witnessed on September 7th. The eclipse reached its maximum totality directly above the old city of Jerusalem at 8:47 p.m. What's remarkable here is the precision. Not above Tel Aviv, not above Haifa, but centered over the exact location where biblical prophecy places the focus of end times events. I want you to see the significance of this positioning. Zechariah 12 verses 2-3 declares, Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. The ancient prophet identified Jerusalem, this specific city, as the focal point of prophetic fulfillment. What emerged above this precise location carries intentionality. Consider this. The Old City contains the Temple Mount, the Western Wall, the Mount of Olives, sites that Scripture repeatedly identifies as central to prophetic events. The celestial sign appearing directly overhead, this wasn't random positioning. Stay with me as we uncover what this means. The witnesses standing at the Western Wall that night looked up to see the blood moon positioned as if heaven itself was highlighting this exact location. Tourists, pilgrims, residents, all describing the same phenomenon, a sense that the sky was opening above the very place where ancient prophecies converge. Most people overlook the geographical specificity in biblical prophecy. But Zechariah 14 verse 4 provides exact coordinates, and his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. The prophet wasn't speaking in generalities. He was identifying precise locations. If this resonates with you, write in the comments, Jerusalem is central. Your voice matters in this conversation about what God is doing. What unfolded above Jerusalem's specific coordinates on September 7th demands that we pay attention to location as much as timing. The picture that connects the dots is becoming clearer. What I discovered will reshape your perspective on the timing of what appeared above Jerusalem. September 7th, 2025 fell on the 14th day of Elul on the Hebrew calendar. This is where the revelation demands your careful consideration. Elul is the 6th month of the biblical year, a 29-day period of spiritual preparation leading to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Let me show you why this matters. Ancient Jewish tradition designates Elul as a time of teshuvah, repentance and return. The acronym Elul in Hebrew stands for Anil Dodiv Dodi Li, from Song of Solomon 6 verse 3, I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine. This month represents intimate divine-human connection. Consider what this means, a celestial sign appearing mid-Elul, during the height of this season of preparation. The sky splitting open during the exact period when tradition says the king is in the field, accessible, drawing near. The awareness that rises within understanding this alignment, it transforms how we interpret what thousands witnessed. What's essential to grasp here is that biblical time operates differently than our secular calendar. The Hebrew calendar is lunar-based, synchronized with celestial cycles by design. When significant astronomical events occur during specific Hebrew months, the alignment carries prophetic weight. This next piece transforms the entire picture. Just 16 days after the blood moon, on September 23rd, the new moon was sighted in Jerusalem, marking Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets. This biblical holy day, called Yom Teruah, commemorates the day that no one knows the exact hour, a phrase Jesus referenced in Matthew 24 verse 36 when speaking about his return. We're watching something emerge that follows biblical patterns precisely. The celestial sign appearing in Elul, followed immediately by the Feast of Trumpets. The timing sequence isn't coincidental. What unfolded above Jerusalem followed the ancient calendar with precision that demands recognition. This discovery reshapes our understanding of how ancient prophets viewed celestial events above Jerusalem. Isaiah 13 verse 10 provides specific imagery. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. The prophet was describing precisely what modern astronomy calls an eclipse, the moon not giving its light because of shadow. But here's where we must recognize something critical. The biblical prophets didn't separate celestial signs from terrestrial events. They understood these as interconnected, heaven declaring something about earth, particularly about Israel and Jerusalem. Reflect on what's emerging here. Acts 2 verses 19 to 20 quotes Joel's prophecy, "And I will shew wonders in heaven above, and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and notable day of the Lord come." This wasn't metaphor, it was literal description. What I'm about to reveal carries profound weight. The September 7th eclipse wasn't an isolated event. It was part of an acceleration of celestial phenomena above Israel. Since 2014 to 2015, when a tetrad of blood moons fell on biblical feast days, astronomers and theologians have noted increased frequency of significant astronomical events aligning with Hebrew calendar dates. Consider the mathematical precision required for a total lunar eclipse to occur directly above Jerusalem during Elul. The orbital mechanics, the timing, the visibility. Thousands of calculations align perfectly to create this specific moment. Most people overlook that Revelation 6 verse 12 describes a future event. "And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood." The prophetic text places celestial signs alongside earth-shaking events. What appeared above Jerusalem connects to a prophetic timeline that ancient voices described with remarkable specificity. Let me walk you through something remarkable about what people actually experienced on September 7th. Social media erupted with testimonies from Jerusalem that night. Families on rooftops throughout the city posted videos showing the moon's transformation. Tourists at the Western Wall captured images of worshippers looking upward, faces illuminated by the copper-red glow filling the sky. What's essential to grasp here is the collective experience. This wasn't a vision seen by one person or a small group. Thousands simultaneously witnessed the same celestial phenomenon, from different vantage points across the city, all describing how the atmosphere shifted during those 87 minutes of totality. One testimony from a resident near the Mount of Olives described it this way: "The whole sky seemed to pause. The normal city sounds faded as everyone stopped to look up. It felt like creation itself was holding its breath." This is where we must recognize what's significant. Psalm 19 verse 1 declares, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament sheweth his handwork." When thousands of people across Jerusalem simultaneously stopped their activities to witness heaven declaring something, this moment carries spiritual weight. If you want to continue discovering these connections, subscribe now. Each new video brings revelations that can strengthen your understanding of current times. Watch what emerges in the testimonies. People described feeling a sense of urgency, a recognition that something important was being communicated. The voice that commands attention wasn't audible. It was the silent language of creation itself speaking through celestial choreography. What I discovered in examining these testimonies is how consistently people across different locations used similar language: splitting, opening, unveiling. They independently chose words that echo prophetic descriptions of heaven revealing something previously hidden. The moment to understand this is now. What thousands witnessed above Jerusalem wasn't just beautiful. It was significant, intentional, timed. The clarity that breaks through these testimonies transforms how we interpret what's unfolding. This is where the significance deepens into urgency. Let me show you the pattern of what's accelerating above Jerusalem. The September 7th eclipse occurred exactly 16 days before Rosh Hashanah 2025. In biblical numerology, 16 is associated with love and loving kindness. But here's what makes this significant. The blood moon appeared as a warning sign during the season of mercy, before the Day of Judgment, Yom Kippur, that follows 10 days after Rosh Hashanah. Consider the prophetic sequence: warning, trumpet blast, judgment, atonement. The celestial calendar was displaying this exact pattern for those who understood the biblical timeline. What I'm about to reveal demands your thoughtful attention. Daniel 12 verse 4 prophesied, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." We're living in a season of accelerated revelation, where prophetic understanding is increasing at unprecedented rates. The frequency that shifts atmosphere, it's the acceleration itself. Blood moons, solar eclipses, celestial alignments, these aren't slowing down. They're intensifying. The pattern emerging above Jerusalem specifically shows increasing frequency of significant astronomical events aligning with biblical dates. Matthew 24 verses 32 to 33 provides the framework. "Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors." The celestial signs are the leaves, indicators of seasonal timing. What's unfolding now accelerates everything we thought we understood about prophetic timelines. The September 7th event wasn't the climax. It was a marker, a sign pointing toward something even more significant approaching. You're witnessing something we cannot ignore. The prophetic clock is ticking with increasing audibility. The sound that awakens recognition is getting louder with each celestial event above Jerusalem. Focus your attention on this element. What appeared above Jerusalem on September 7th carries personal implications for each person who understands its significance. 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 4 states, "But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief." The celestial signs above Jerusalem are preventing surprise. They're calling for awareness, preparation, readiness. Let me show you what this demands from us. The blood moon appearing during Elul, the month of preparation, wasn't just showing us something about Israel. It was calling each person who understands prophetic significance to enter their own season of spiritual preparation. What's remarkable here is the personal application of cosmic events. When heaven displays signs above the city where biblical prophecy centers, it's simultaneously calling individuals across the globe to recognize the season we're in. If this perspective is expanding your vision, leave your like. This helps more people access these important discoveries. Consider this carefully. Jesus rebuked the Pharisees in Matthew 16 verse 3 for not discerning the signs of the times. He expected his followers to read celestial signs and understand their spiritual implications. What appeared above Jerusalem is readable for those who have eyes to see. The awareness that rises within, it's calling you to action. Not panic, not fear, but intentional spiritual preparation. The same preparation that Elul traditionally represents. Examining your life, returning to foundational truths, ensuring your relationship with God is central and secure. What I discovered goes beyond information. It transforms into invitation. The celestial sign above Jerusalem is heaven's way of saying, pay attention. Prepare. This season matters. Your choices now carry eternal weight. The realization that shifts foundations isn't about predicting exact dates. It's about recognizing divine communication through creation itself. What unfolded above Jerusalem on September 7th, 2025 was a love letter from heaven, calling each person to readiness. Your response to this revelation determines how you navigate what unfolds next. What I'm about to reveal carries more weight than anything we've examined so far. The September 7th blood moon above Jerusalem wasn't an endpoint. It was a waypoint on a prophetic timeline that's rapidly converging. Let me walk you through what's emerging on the horizon. Zechariah 14 verse 4 provides specific detail. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. Here's what demands your careful consideration. The same location where the blood moon appeared, Jerusalem, the Mount of Olives, the Old City, is precisely where biblical prophecy places the ultimate convergence of heaven and earth. What's essential to grasp is that celestial signs aren't the main event. They're the announcement of the main event. They're heaven's way of saying, watch. Stay alert. The moment approaches. Revelation 19 verse 11 describes the ultimate appearance. And I saw heaven opened, and behold a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. The sky splitting open, not in eclipse, but in revelation. Not shadows covering light, but light himself appearing. This is where everything we've examined converges. The blood moon on September 7th. The Feast of Trumpets on September 23rd. The biblical calendar acceleration. The witnesses' testimonies. The prophetic patterns. All of it points toward a moment when what appeared symbolically in the sky will appear literally in returning glory. 1 Thessalonians 4 verses 16 to 17 provides the sequence. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God. The celestial signs are preparing us to recognize that voice when it sounds. What appeared above Jerusalem is training our eyes to look upward, our hearts to be ready, our spirits to be prepared for the ultimate convergence, when heaven doesn't just display signs, but when heaven itself opens and he appears. So here's where we are, friend. Thousands witnessed the sky transform above Jerusalem on September 7, 2025. The blood moon during Elul. The biblical calendar alignment. The prophetic patterns converging. What you do with this understanding determines how you navigate what unfolds next. This isn't about fear, it's about readiness. It's about recognizing that heaven is communicating through creation, that the signs are increasing in frequency and clarity, that the season demands our attention. Luke 21 verse 28 provides the perspective. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. The celestial signs aren't meant to terrify, they're meant to encourage. They tell us that what God promised is approaching. The moment to understand this is now. What appeared above Jerusalem connects to a larger story. Your story, my story, the story of redemption that began in that same city 2,000 years ago and will culminate in that same city in the future. I want you to see that you're not just an observer of these events. Your awareness matters. Your preparation matters. Your response to heaven's communication through celestial signs matters eternally. Share your perspective. I'm watching the signs, and let's continue this journey together in the next video. The sky split open above Jerusalem. Thousands witnessed it. Now you understand why. What unfolds next depends on how you respond to what heaven is declaring through the very fabric of creation itself.